Creative Hub Worcester is an organization focused on arts and equity in the arts world, making sure that everybody in Worcester has equal and equitable access to arts opportunities, including kids and potentially communities that might be historically underserved. We were honored to be asked to participate in this particular project with a bunch of other organizations, including Guardians of Traditions and Technicopia and the Hector Reyes House have all participated in this amazing project, which I think is part of the beauty of these pieces. So Creative Hub was tasked with doing the Marionettes. The ideation came from the amazing artist from the Dominican Republic, Luis Rivas, who is here and generously has come up from the Dominican to help us with this project, created all these beautiful illustrations, kind of ideated this concept. He's sort of a master of using recycled materials to make large-scale projects, very often sort of human-like representations of different ethnicities and different countries, and that's what this exactly is a representation of 18 different countries. Many of which are, families and communities that are found here in Worcester.
The Dominican artist Luis Rivas, he created these marionettes in Dominican Republic. They were made of metal, and they were actually moving, being controlled by people. So we're like, okay, that will be the perfect canvas to showcase Worcester, as a city, and do it in a fun way. Then, came the community outreach aspect, which is what Guardians of Tradition was going to do initially, just outreach. But then, I'm like, okay, let's do this workshop. And then, this is what you have now.
We've been in existence, so we're still a relatively new nonprofit as far as institutions go. And we started with an after-school program, which we still run. Now we have a mobile art van, and we are still in the process of raising funds to renovate this, the former Ionic Ave Boys Club, which is where we are now. And this project is literally a completely visual and visceral representation of why we exist as an organization. So lots of institutions coming together, lots of community members and residents of different ages, all different races, all different identities coming together from all different walks of life to participate in something big that represents our community. And it's just been really powerful.
¿Cómo te involucraste con este proyecto?
Bueno, yo tengo muchos años
I have been working many years in Carnival in recycling, and the organization Guardians of Traditions contacted me to be here and be part of this story. ¿Cuál fue el proceso para poder hacer todo esto con todo el input que te dimos todos nosotros acá? ¿Cuál fue el proceso y cómo lo lograste?
El proceso creativo de
The creative process of this starts with the name of the country, each country that was going to be represented.
Entonces, partiendo de ahí, yo hice los bocetos de cómo serían los
Then,
trajes.
based on that, I started working on the sketches, on a vision, because I am very spontaneous.
O sea que yo hago el diseño.
I make the design, but it's just as a guidance, as a reference, the aesthetic. ¿Te encontraste lleno de ideas todo el tiempo o habían algunas que eran difíciles de tener?
Realmente no. Yo con cada una.
Not really. I was enthusiastic with all of them, and I just let it flow. Each one has its quality. Each one is different, one from the other. Each one, it's beautiful. In reality, it's paying homage to women because all of them are female and they represent different nationalities. Tú estás sonriendo cuando hablas y parece que tienes pasión sobre el proyecto.
Absolutamente.
Absolutely, I'm very passionate. Everything that I'm involved, I put my heart and soul in my work. And that's why things are always perfect when you work with a positive mindset. Si viniste con algunas expectativas, ¿se lograron todas o las cosas son diferentes a las expectativas con las que viniste?
Todo gran proyecto uno viene con una idea.
Every project you come with a general idea, but the important thing is that things keep flowing and you adapt and keep going. ¿Qué tiempo tienes haciendo arte y todo este tipo de cosas?
Tengo toda la vida.
All my life working in art. ¿Qué tú esperas que la comunidad se lleve, aprenda de todo esto, de ver todo esto? ¿Qué aprendizaje?
Que aprenda a
To learn,
disfrutar
to enjoy, and to appreciate the beauty of every nationality.
los colores de piel, las
Skin
diferentes
tones,
tipos de ropa, los
different-
colores, la
Different
diversidad.
clothes, diversity. Si tienes una favorita.
Es que cada vez que hago una creo que es mi favorita.
Every time I make one, I think is my favorite.
Pero me encanta
But
la de Haití,
I love Haiti,
la de Panamá.
Panama.
Para mí todas son bellas.
All of them are beautiful.
So I had worked with Creative Hub Worcester in 2021 doing the light display for Maine South, and I got to work with them then. And then after I joined Create 508, we were told to come here if we, wanted to help out. And I got to help out once before, and it's just been really fun getting to meet new people. So it's really fulfilling.
Laura is my wife, actually, and we started Creative Hub 6 years ago. It's just been a passion of ours since the get-go when we first met, to develop and create a community of artists. I'm an art educator in the city of Worcester for 21 years, and I've seen over the years a lot of my students in middle school, I teach middle school, that, these young kids are coming in and they have so much talent, and then there's no place for them to go, So when we got together and we started talking and we were envisioning, about the future, is what can we do to cultivate the aspiring artists in Worcester? What can we do to give them the opportunities that a lot of other people have? Hence the name, the Creative Hub. Hub being the hub, as opposed to reinventing the wheel. There's a lot of organizations out there that do wonderful work, but sometimes you just need to make those connections between the community and those organizations.
COVID was, I was just starting the organization, with that event. It opened a lot of windows, a lot of doors. And at the same time, it gave me a different perspective of things. During the pandemic, I started coming up with ideas of different projects and how to get to the community, the underrepresented, underserved, community. And then seeing people's reaction from the content that I posted, on social media, on both Instagram and Facebook, about, I went from being a Dominican organization to being diverse organization. I said, if it's about representation, then I have to include, everyone. So I always find a way to go back to my roots as an immigrant from Dominican Republic, but I also find the intersectionality between everyone's, culture. The way I see it, when we retain our cultural identity, we thrive as a community.
This one obviously has all the different flags all over it. And we have a bunch of different mannequins representing all the different countries, which mostly populate Worcester. And it's actually really cool to look around and realize how many mannequins there were. Because when I came here before, there's only a handful of just the bodices out. And I was expecting maybe 5-ish big mannequins going through, and then I was like, oh wow, there's actually a lot more than I expected. And it's really cool seeing the diversity and especially how the artists represented the different hair textures, the different styles. A lot of them are similar but very different in ways that matter a lot. So I think it's really cool to see that represented here.
It has to happen organically. And in order for something to happen organically, it has to be a safe space for someone to express themselves. And being both art educators, we're very used to creating that safe space in our classrooms for our students to, to explore and express themselves through creativity, be it spoken word, dance, sculpture, painting, whatever it may be. And this is kind of an extension of that. What can we create that would be a safe space, a welcoming space for everybody to come in and explore their inner child, their inner creativity, And what I love about it is talking to them about their passions, And if we can't help them, then we're very good at directing them or pointing them to other organizations or people that could mentor them or help them, foster that.
I think part of that is managing and creating a culture of safety. And Stacey and I, as members of the LGBT community, are very familiar with sort of this idea of making sure that everybody feels safe in a particular space. Our after-school program is one of those spaces, very trauma-informed, culturally sensitive, and I think that that's really important, that you can sit and say, hey, I like this pattern, or actually I think this pattern is from this country and not that country. And then, there was one where we actually consulted a scholar on a particular pattern that we were using, and we found out that it didn't actually originate from the country that we thought it did, and that was really important because there could be folks in the audience or folks feeling like, oh, this represents the place that I come from, but it doesn't. And that's really important to people's identity, and people's identity matters.